Manifesting the life you want isn't about learning tricks or developing special skills. It's about awakening to the limitless power that already resides within you, waiting to be unleashed. Every day, you're already manifesting, whether you realize it or not. Your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, they all shape your reality. But what if you could take control of this process? What if you could manifest your dreams with intention and precision? Many lament that life treats them unfairly, that they're not as lucky as others, or that fortune has eluded them. They fail to grasp that life is neutral, indifferent to whether you're good or bad, a believer or a skeptic, rich or poor. Life simply mirrors what you experience within yourself. Those who have awakened to the workings of the universe manifest their desires effortlessly, while others remain in the shadows, unaware of their own power. It's not luck that determines our outcomes, but knowledge of the truth. Your energy and vibrations cause the universe to react. You draw more of the same when you carry around negativity, hatred, and self-doubt. However, the universe comes together to support your dreams when you practice love, appreciation, and steadfast conviction in your own potential. Wishful thinking or meaningless affirmations are not the issue. It involves bringing your ideas, feelings, and behaviors into alignment with the world you want to create and embracing the frequency of your goals. This is a fundamental law of the cosmos, not some arcane secret. Your thoughts have the ability to influence your reality, and it's open to everybody who wants to realize their actual potential. Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? I'm inviting you to let go of your reservations and widen your perspective to see the countless opportunities that manifestation presents. Come along on this transformative and self-discovery trip with me, where you will learn how to become an expert manifester and design the life of your dreams. Chapter 1. The Neuroscience Behind Manifestation. The law of attraction and the law of manifestation may sound like different concepts, but they're essentially two sides of the same coin. Both tap into the profound power of your mind to shape your reality. The law of attraction, with its roots in ancient Hermetic philosophy, has been embraced by mystics and self-help gurus alike, promising that you can attract anything you desire by focusing your thoughts and emotions on it. But let's be honest, while there's a grain of truth in this, it's often surrounded by hype and unrealistic expectations. The real power lies not in some mystical force, but in understanding how your mind works and using that knowledge to your advantage. Here's the thing. We're all manifesting every day, whether we're aware of it or not. Your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are constantly shaping your experiences. But most of us do it unconsciously, like fumbling around in the dark. Imagine what you could achieve if you could harness that power with intention and precision. Think of it like this. You wouldn't expect to become a world-class athlete without training and guidance, right? The same goes for manifestation. By learning the specific techniques that work with your brain's natural wiring, you can maximize your potential and turn your dreams into reality. Though those might be useful techniques, manifesting is more than just wishful thinking and repeating mantras. It's a more profound comprehension of the complex mechanisms of your mind and how it engages with the outside world. The fundamental basis of manifestation is neurology. It's about realizing how your world is shaped by the interaction of your conscious and subconscious thoughts. Your beliefs, routines, and instinctive reactions are stored in your subconscious mind, which is in charge of your ideas, decisions, and behaviors. The subconscious mind is incredibly powerful, operating below the level of conscious awareness. It's like a supercomputer that processes information and influences your behavior without you even realizing it. The key to manifestation lies in reprogramming your subconscious mind with your desires. This involves identifying and replacing limiting beliefs with empowering ones. It's about rewiring your neural pathways to create new patterns of thinking and behavior that support your goals. This isn't a quick fix. It requires consistent effort and dedication. It's like upgrading your operating system from an outdated version to a cutting-edge one. It takes time and patience, but the results are transformative. When you start to reprogram your subconscious mind, you gain greater control over your thoughts and emotions. You become less reactive and more intentional in your actions, You start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. It's like upgrading from a flickering candle to a powerful spotlight. Your vision becomes clearer, your focus sharper, and your path to your goals illuminated. Manifestation is about realizing that you have the power within you to shape your destiny. It's about understanding that you are not a passive observer, but an active creator of your reality. By harnessing the power of your mind, you can manifest your dreams and desires. It's not magic, it's science. It's about understanding how your mind works and using that knowledge to create the life you want. Chapter 2. Beliefs and Patterns. We all carry the weight of our childhood experiences, don't we? It's like invisible baggage that influences every decision we make and every relationship we form. Even when we try to move on, we can't escape the patterns ingrained in us from those early years. You've probably seen it before. Someone who repeatedly chooses abusive partners, wondering, why does this keep happening to me? The truth is, we create the energy that allows these patterns to persist. It's not about blame, but about recognizing the truth of how our past shapes our present. Imagine a child growing up with an abusive parent. The pain and hurt become familiar, strangely intertwined with love. It's a heartbreaking reality, but that familiarity can draw us to similar situations later in life, even if they're harmful. By the time we're 7, 8, 9, or 10 years old, many of our core beliefs and patterns are already deeply ingrained. We've been conditioned to think, feel, and react in certain ways, and we carry those patterns with us for years, often decades, until something forces us to wake up. It might be a devastating heartbreak, a crushing disappointment, or a profound loss. These painful experiences can shatter our illusions and force us to confront the truth of our patterns. But change doesn't have to come through suffering. Think of the countless individuals who struggle with addiction. Their choices aren't born out of a desire for self-destruction, but rather from an attempt to numb the deep emotional pain they carry. It's a tragic cycle, and often it takes a rock-bottom moment to spark a change. But what if we could break free from these patterns before they lead to such devastating consequences? What if we could rewrite the script of our lives, even if it's been etched into us since childhood? The truth is that change is possible. It's not easy, but it's within our reach. By understanding the power of our subconscious mind, we can reprogram those deeply ingrained beliefs and patterns. We can heal the wounds of the past and create a new reality, one that's filled with love, joy, and fulfillment. It's time to break free from the chains of your past and step into the limitless potential of your present. You have the power to create a life that's truly yours, a life that reflects your deepest desires and values. When we're ready for change, a teacher or guide often appears. But if we're not ready, change feels impossible. It's not always a dramatic realization. Sometimes it's a slow burn of discontent, a nagging feeling that something's not right. We wake up one day and realize we need to take a hard look at ourselves, seek guidance, and make changes. It's tough, but it's possible. I learned this firsthand as a child. Growing up in poverty with a troubled family, I found solace in magic. A chance encounter with a kind woman in a magic shop changed my life. She saw my pain and offered me a safe space, cookies, and a listening ear. Over time, she taught me what we now call mindfulness, a way to calm my anxious mind and connect with my inner strength. This experience taught me that we all have a negative voice in our heads, a constant critic, but we can learn to recognize it for what it is, a lie. When we believe in that voice, we give away our power. By learning to quiet that voice and focus on the present moment, we open ourselves up to new possibilities. This is the essence of manifestation, taking control of our lives by changing our thoughts and beliefs. It's not always easy, but it's always possible. And when we're ready, the teachers and guides we need will appear. Chapter 3. The universe is neutral. The universe is neutral. It has no favoritism towards some or towards others. There's no external force deciding your fate based on whether you're good or bad. But we all possess immense power within us to shape our own destinies. When we give that power away and listen to our inner critic, we limit ourselves. Imagine telling yourself every day, "I'm not worthy. I don't deserve love. I'm a fraud. I can't do it." It's like building a prison around yourself brick by brick. The walls grow taller and darker, leaving you feeling increasingly powerless. You start to believe that an external force is controlling your life, but when you realize the incredible power within you to change your destiny, extraordinary things can happen. You shift from feeling like others are in charge to taking charge of yourself. I know what it's like to struggle with limiting beliefs. As a child, I felt insecure, unloved, and unworthy. These feelings were rooted in my childhood experiences, but interacting with that kind of woman in the magic shop opened my eyes to a new perspective. When we constantly repeat negative affirmations to ourselves, we strip ourselves of our own agency and power. We feel helpless, and when we're overly critical of ourselves, we tend to view others through a critical lens as well. This can damage our relationships because we're always expecting others to deceive or lie to us. I want to be clear. I'm not suggesting that I've completely overcome this. We're all human and we all struggle. But I've made progress on this journey. I've learned to challenge my limiting beliefs and cultivate more empowering ones. And I've found that when I'm kinder to myself, I'm also kinder to others. It's an ongoing process, but it's a journey worth taking. When we free ourselves from our limiting beliefs, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities. This brings us to another fascinating discussion about the power of connection between people. If we look at areas of the world where people live in community, we find a common denominator: strong social connections. In the past, when we lived in villages, we were naturally embedded in communities that loved, cared for, and taught us, despite our flaws. We had our parents, siblings, and grandparents close by. This inherent support system didn't allow much room for the negative self-talk that plagues us today. Stress hormones, a weaker immune system, inflammation, and low self-esteem are all consequences of chronically activating your sympathetic nervous system. Your heart health and blood pressure are negatively impacted by these long-term illnesses. I was directly involved with this. My parents never seemed to care about me when I was a child. I thought they were doing something else, and I was upset. I became more understanding and sympathetic, though, once I adjusted my viewpoint. My parents merely lacked the resources to cope with and process their own grief. I understood that everyone suffers in some capacity. Never having been shown a different path, many people suffer throughout their lives. In spite of your best efforts to influence them, they might not be prepared to alter. To take charge of their own welfare, they must be prepared to stand up. I learned self-control from my experience with the woman in the magic shop. I was able to de-stress, be in the now, and focus thanks to her teachings on mindfulness. It was imperative to do this, since having your attention elsewhere prevents you from learning or growing. Chapter 4. The Present Moment. When you're constantly worried and distracted, you can't accomplish anything. But when you learn to relax and be present, a different kind of energy emerges, from both yourself and others. This energy is influential. You've probably experienced feeling a bad vibe from someone and crossed the street to avoid them. That's your intuition picking up on something. When you harbor anger and hostility within yourself, you project that onto others. But when you change how you see yourself, you change how you see the world, and the world reacts to you differently. After my time with that woman, I became more open, reflective, generous, and kind. I understood that I had been in pain, but so had others. This change of viewpoint was a really meaningful experience for me personally. It altered both my interactions with the outside world and my interactions with me. Fear is the predominant thought and emotion that prevents us from manifesting, specifically feelings of insecurity and shame. One must choose between love and fear. Fear sets off your sympathetic nervous system and all of its bad effects, but love makes you more receptive to kindness, generosity, and compassion. It causes your parasympathetic nervous system to become active, which elevates your mood. Recall that while you may not always control the outside world, you do have power over how you respond to it. You can decide what to do. You can pick negativity or optimism, love or fear. You have the option. Hard work is crucial. But it's not the only thing that will help us reach our objectives. It is imperative to adhere to specific practices and beliefs in order to bring about long-lasting transformation. One common mistake is to overlook the process in favor of the final result and concentrate only on it. Although having goals is vital, focusing only on them and ignoring the journey ahead might lead to disappointment. It's like arriving at the summit of a mountain only to encounter nothingness. The main contributors to misery are anxious desire and attachment. We lose sight of the people and situations that really count when we are just concerned with accomplishing goals on the outside. We run the danger of ruining our relationships and losing out on the happiness of the here and now. Many people discover this lesson the hard way, after alienating their kids, ruining their relationships, and going through several unhappy marriages. They've neglected everything else in favor of chasing a dream. I've been there myself. I thought that if I achieved certain things, my insecurities and shame would vanish, I'd be universally loved, and my life would be perfect. But at each of those milestones, all I felt was disappointment. Even though everyone told me how great my life was, I didn't feel it inside. I hadn't realized that I held the key to the prison I had built for myself. If we start from a place of insecurity, fear, or scarcity, and try to manifest more money, opportunities, or success without addressing our inner turmoil, we'll end up like I did, having everything but still feeling deeply unhappy. That's why the woman who taught me visualization at age 12 asked me to write down 10 things I desired. Unfortunately, at that age, influenced by Western consumerism, my list consisted of material possessions, a Rolex watch, a mansion, $1 million. I eventually got all those things, but I was more miserable than ever. This is a crucial point. Most people think they know what they want, but they don't understand what they need. There's a difference between hedonic happiness, the fleeting pleasure derived from material possessions, and eudaimonic happiness, the deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment that comes from serving others. When we focus on hedonic happiness, we're driven by fear and a sense of lack. This perpetuates a cycle of dissatisfaction. But when we shift our perspective to one of compassion and service, we change how we see the world and what we truly need. This realization can be transformative. We may no longer crave the big house or fancy car because we find fulfillment in helping others. We break free from the illusion that material possessions will fill the void within us. By activating our parasympathetic nervous system and fostering compassion, we create the optimal conditions for manifestation. We become more open, receptive, and aligned with our true desires. This allows us to manifest not just what we want, but what we truly need to feel whole and fulfilled. Chapter 5. The True Path to Happiness. When we focus on acquiring more for personal gain, we may not find lasting happiness. But when we focus on creating, serving, and impacting others in a way that aligns with a greater purpose, we experience deeper fulfillment and are more likely to manifest what we truly need. I learned this lesson the hard way. During the dot-com boom, I had amassed around $80 million, but when the bubble burst, I was left with a $3 million debt. Yet, whether I had $80 million or was $3 million in the hole, it didn't change how I felt about myself. Having money didn't boost my self-esteem or fill the void within me. Sure, I enjoyed driving Ferraris, owning a villa in Florence, and having all the luxuries money could buy. But it didn't address my underlying insecurities, anxieties, and fears. The constant praise and admiration from others meant nothing if I didn't believe it myself. When I lost everything during the dot-com crash, I went through a period of deep reflection. I realized I had strayed from the lessons the woman in the magic shop had tried to teach me. I had become consumed by my ego, seeking validation and recognition through external achievements. Despite my work as a scientist assisting people, my activities were motivated by a need for approval and recognition. I wanted to come across as a successful, accomplished person. However, this was a result of my own anxiety and uncertainty. I eventually realized that it wasn't about myself. Rather, it was about helping others after much introspection. I changed my priorities from gaining personal advantage to improving the lives of others. Everything altered with this change in viewpoint. It is similar to the tale of Jim Carrey, who, before his rise to fame, wrote a $10 million check to himself. His success came from his dedication to providing for his audience and making them happy. Led Zeppelin's Jimmy Page once became irritated when fans would not stop asking for Stairway to Heaven, but in the end, he understood that it was all about providing his audience with what they desired, not about himself. Everything changes when your perspective on the world shifts. We can all choose to do it. The most difficult thing I've had to learn is how to let go of attachment. It's not flawless, and I make mistakes, but I've discovered that attachment frequently results in pain. Even while I know that losing everything tomorrow wouldn't impact my mental health, I still love good things. That's the secret to being free. I made the decision to give a sizable amount of my remaining assets to charity after losing everything. It was an experience of liberation. I no longer felt that my worldly belongings were a prison. Desiring good things is not inherently bad, but living a life that is only focused on meeting your needs and desires can become meaningless. True fulfillment is difficult to achieve when one's actions are motivated just by self-interest. Striking a balance is crucial. Enjoying material luxuries is acceptable, but you shouldn't allow them to determine your happiness or value. Put your attention toward changing the world for the better, helping others, and discovering your purpose. That is the source of true fulfillment. Chapter 6. From Materialism to Meaning. I know people who can't commit to one woman. They always need to be seen with the next beautiful woman. It's not about genuine care or connection. It's about appearances and boosting their ego. Similarly, some people feel they need to show up in a Ferrari to be noticed and admired. This kind of existence is empty and selfish. You might be thinking, I'm not like that. But are you sure? If your life revolves solely around you and your desires, it can feel empty and meaningless. It's okay to want material things, but if that's your only focus, it's not fulfilling. I'm not saying you can't have nice things. I work hard and enjoy the fruits of my labor. But I also make sure my actions benefit a greater purpose or mission beyond my personal interests. It doesn't matter if you are trying to align thoughts, emotions, and vibrations. While ideally you'd combine all three, I believe the most crucial aspect is understanding and addressing your limiting beliefs. It boils down to self-compassion. When you're kind to yourself, it changes your physiology and shifts you away from the fear network. It's about turning self-criticism into compassion. There are different networks in the brain: the default mode network, the salience network, the attentional network, and the executive control network. The executive control network is responsible for execution and decision-making. But when you're driven by fear, anxiety, and insecurity, your access to this network is limited, hindering your productivity and creativity. To manifest effectively, you need to integrate your intentions. This means pursuing things that deeply resonate with you and that you genuinely desire. When you do this, you activate the salience network, which acts like a hound dog, constantly seeking opportunities for your intention to manifest. For example, I was working on a new project and overheard someone in a noisy cafe talking about the exact type of project I was developing. I introduced myself, and we connected. This is how synchronicity works. When you embody your intention, you become attuned to opportunities that can bring it to fruition. Another example is when I see patients with rare conditions. After seeing a few cases, I might start noticing similar cases everywhere. It's because my awareness has been heightened, and I'm now tuned in to those specific patterns. So the key to manifestation lies in understanding and addressing your limiting beliefs, cultivating self-compassion, and integrating your intentions. When you do this, you open yourself up to a world of possibilities and create the conditions for your desires to manifest. When we desire more solely for personal gain, it won't bring us the highest level of happiness. In contrast, when our desire stems from a wish to create, serve, or impact others in a way that's connected to a greater purpose, we experience deeper fulfillment and are more likely to manifest what we truly need. I learned this through personal experience. After achieving financial success during the dot-com era, I realized that having millions didn't equate to happiness. Whether I had $80 million or was $3 million in debt, it didn't change how I felt inside. My self-worth wasn't tied to my net worth. Sure, I enjoyed the luxuries that came with wealth, but they didn't fill the void within me. The constant praise and admiration from others meant nothing if I didn't believe it myself. It was an empty existence. After losing everything in the dot-com crash, I underwent a period of deep introspection. I realized I had been chasing external validation and neglecting my true purpose. I had been living for myself, not for others. This realization led to a profound shift in my perspective. I began to focus on serving others and making a positive impact on the world. This change in mindset transformed my life. When you shift your focus from yourself to others, everything changes. You activate your attentional network, which then works in conjunction with your executive control network to create synchronicities and opportunities that align with your intentions. It's important to note that manifestation isn't about wishful thinking. It requires effort and action, but when you combine effort with a clear intention and a focus on serving others, the results can be extraordinary. My own journey is a testament to this. Despite facing numerous challenges and setbacks, I was able to achieve my goals because I was driven by a purpose greater than myself. For instance, I didn't have a degree and had below-average grades when I applied to medical school. But I was going to make it work. I vehemently defended myself in front of the pre-med committee, not letting a secretary's discouragement stop me. This set off a chain of unforeseen circumstances that eventually got me into medical school. Though it wasn't the usual route, it was the one that was intended for me. The most important lesson is this: you unleash a strong force within yourself when you put your attention on helping others and directing your activities toward a higher goal. This force has the power to bring about coincidences, open doors, and guide you toward chances you never would have imagined. Let me tell you a tale to help you understand how important this is. Depressed, the university's medical school dean resigned following a significant natural calamity. A candidate from a prominent university expressed interest in becoming the next dean, but she insisted on having an endowed chair instead. In academia, an endowed chair is a distinguished title bestowed by a private benefactor and bearing their name. Since the professor has discretion over how to use the funds, this is a highly sought-after position. After a few years, I ended up establishing the university's dean's chair. Following the catastrophe, I also reconstructed the library. The story's lesson is that nobody has the authority to restrict your options. In theory, my academic history suggests that I shouldn't have been admitted to medical school. Nevertheless, I grew to be among the medical school's biggest contributors. Chapter 7. Cultivating Self-Compassion and Positive Change. If I had believed what so many people told me, that my dreams were impossible, I would never have achieved anything. It all comes down to limiting beliefs. Once you break free from those constraints and understand your own power, you can achieve almost anything. The real challenge is that many people believe what others say about them. They internalize criticism and limitations, accepting them as their truth. But there's only one person who can truly define your limits, and that's you. Even if everyone else believes in you, it won't matter if you don't believe in yourself. So how do we overcome negative self-talk and external criticism? How do we break free and believe in our own capabilities? Many people get stuck in a cycle of procrastination and overwhelm. They make grand plans but never follow through. The key is to start small and celebrate small victories. Choose something easy to prove to yourself that you have control. It could be as simple as getting up at 6 a.m. and walking around the block. By setting and achieving this small goal, you begin to change your belief system. You prove to yourself that you can follow through on your commitments. Gradually, you can increase the difficulty of your goals. Before you know it, you'll be running a marathon when you could barely walk around the block before. Start small, celebrate your wins, and let that momentum propel you forward. It's a slow process, but it's the only way to create lasting change. This audiobook aims to help you see the world differently and avoid the pain and suffering that many of us have endured. I hope it gives you the missing piece you've been searching for, the understanding you need to break free from your limitations and create the life you truly desire. To illustrate the emptiness of a purely materialistic pursuit, I know people who constantly seek validation through external appearances, whether it's dating the most beautiful woman or driving the flashiest cars. Their focus is on being seen, not on genuine connection or personal growth. This kind of existence is shallow and self-centered. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that material possessions or external validation will bring happiness, but it's an illusion. The concept of identity is fascinating. We start building our identity in childhood and adolescence, but it's in our 20s that we begin to truly define who we are. Our identity can either empower or disempower us in our quest for manifestation. Many people struggle with deep-seated attachment issues that were imprinted on them early in life. These attachment styles, whether anxious, avoidant, or secure, can significantly impact our relationships and self-worth. It's important to understand how these early experiences shape our beliefs and behaviors. For example, someone might repeatedly choose partners who are emotionally unavailable because it mirrors their childhood experiences. By reflecting on these patterns, we can break free from them and create healthier relationships. Words have great power, particularly when it comes to kids. I met a woman once who told me her father had always told her she would never amount to anything. Even though she had a successful job, she was nonetheless burdened by his remarks. Just think of how different her life might have been if her father had encouraged and loved her instead. This begs an intriguing question. Is it true that parents who provide their children unconditional love and encouraging words have a better impact and level of success than those who give them criticism and negativity? Although the solution to this issue is elusive, it is obvious that our upbringing has a big influence on the attitudes and actions we adopt. My rowing coach was quite yelling at me all the time. It caused me a great deal of tension, anxiety, and suffering, but it also forced me to work harder. My subsequent coach, on the other hand, was really encouraging and supportive. He made it fun while encouraging me to give it my all. Although I received similar assistance from both coaches, there was a noticeable variation in methodology. The other felt like a cozy embrace, while the first was like carrying a bulky rucksack, while someone was continuously stabbing you in the back. When we operate from a place of fear and negativity, it takes a toll on our well-being. But when we cultivate a positive mindset and embrace compassion, we create a more harmonious and fulfilling life. This is where the concept of flow comes in. When we're in a state of flow, we're fully immersed in the present moment, not worrying about time or external factors. It's a state of effortless action and creativity. We can achieve similar results through hard work and perseverance, but it's not sustainable or enjoyable. It's like reaching the top of a mountain exhausted and depleted, rather than feeling exhilarated and accomplished. The key is to find a balance between effort and ease, between striving and allowing. When we approach life with a positive attitude and a sense of flow, we create a more fulfilling and sustainable path to success. Chapter 8. You manifest what you need, not what you want. When we manifest without attachment to specific outcomes, we open ourselves up to the magic and wonder of the universe. It's important to remember that manifestation isn't always about getting exactly what we want. It's about receiving what we need, even if it comes in unexpected ways. One of the biggest challenges to manifestation is emotional attachment. When we become deeply attached to a specific outcome, we create a rigid expectation of how things should unfold. This sets us up for disappointment, because the universe often has different plans. Manifestation isn't about controlling every detail. It's about trusting the process and being open to possibilities. Sometimes the universe delivers what we need in ways we couldn't have imagined. For instance, I've spent the last 13 years organizing the World Festival of Compassion. Though it hasn't happened yet, I'm still hopeful. Even if it doesn't happen in my time frame, I still think it will happen. Dispositional optimism enters the picture here. It's about maintaining a constant sense of optimism about life, even when things don't go as planned. This kind of thinking helps you stay focused on your objectives and stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system, which enhances resilience and well-being. Try imagining your ideal companion. You have a mental image of them with certain features like blonde hair. Then someone who has dark hair and all the attributes you want shows up in your life. You could lose out on a wonderful relationship if you get overly committed to your original concept. What steps can we take then to get ready for everyday manifestation? It begins with developing a service and compassion-oriented mindset. As part of my morning routine, I undertake breathing exercises, while silently sitting in bed to stimulate my parasympathetic nervous system. This encourages introspection, openness, and creativity. I then reflect on the wonder and delight of this amazing universe. This gives me a newfound sense of amazement and gratitude for the planet. Lastly, I utter the potent 10-letter motto, compassion. This mantra includes developing serenity, acknowledging the dignity of every individual, and having compassion for both oneself and others. This straightforward yet profound exercise prepares the ground for manifestation. It supports me in being true to my principles, finding my purpose, and facing every day with an open mind and heart. Recall that manifesting is about receiving what you need, even if it appears in unexpected ways, rather than obtaining what you desire. You may design a life full of enchantment, wonder, and fulfillment by developing a mindset of compassion, service, and openness. Chapter 9. The Ripple Effect of Kindness. Achieving a goal is exhilarating, but that euphoria is fleeting. We can't live in a constant state of triumph. Similarly, disappointments, failures, and losses, while painful, are also temporary. Emotional stability is key. It's about not getting lost in the extremes of joy or despair. It's about understanding that both triumphs and setbacks are part of life, and neither defines us. In fact, it's often our disappointments and challenges that teach us the most. They shape us, build resilience, and create opportunities for growth. Trying to avoid these experiences altogether is not only unrealistic, but also detrimental to our development. Forgiveness is another essential aspect of emotional well-being. When we hold on to negative emotions tied to a past event or person, we harm ourselves every time we revisit those memories. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means releasing the emotional burden so we can move forward. Moreover, gratitude has enormous power. According to research, you can greatly enhance your well-being by simply writing down 3 things you're grateful for every night, or by keeping a gratitude diary. It's simple to lose sight of our blessings, particularly in a world where half of humanity subsists on less than $2.50 per day. I've witnessed personally how perspective can influence our experiences as a scientist. Some of my patients were distraught to learn they were paraplegic, but they saw things differently once I showed them someone who was quadriplegic and on a ventilator. We are free to select our perspective on the world. Either we may be thankful for what we have, or we can dwell on what we lack. We might choose to focus on our bad luck, or to see the obstacles as chances for improvement. Another essential component of well-being is humility. It's about realizing that no one is more important than us, and that morality and integrity should be the foundation of everything we do. I've come up with a set of values in my own life that I refer to as the 10 C's: choice, awareness, commitment, compassion, courage, curiosity, creativity, connection, and contribution. These tenets direct my behavior and assist me in maintaining my moral compass. These 10 C's were something I once shared with the graduating class of my School of Medicine during my commencement speech. A few months later, I was approached by a woman who told me that my lecture had motivated her to resume her role as the spiritual leader of the biggest homeless shelter in the country. This narrative serves as an example of how our actions have repercussions. Helping others can be as simple as being nice or generous, yet it gives us an incomparable emotional high. These tiny deeds of kindness, like smiling and holding a door open for others or purchasing food for the homeless, can have a significant impact. They enhance our own lives in addition to the recipients. Chapter 10. The Transformative Power of Compassion. "If you truly want to make others happy, be compassionate," is a quote that has great resonance. Be compassionate as well if you want to be happy. Beyond just being a lofty concept, compassion has the capacity to change both our lives and the environment in which we live. Research has demonstrated that compassion has a very beneficial impact on our physiology. Compassion activates our parasympathetic nervous system, which is in charge of rest and relaxation. Improved heart and vascular health, decreased inflammation, boosted immunity, and decreased cortisol levels are just a few of the advantages that result from this. Essentially, kindness heals our bodies and brains. It calms our tense muscles, slows our pounding heartbeat, and enhances our general well-being. Feel-good chemicals like oxytocin and dopamine are released by our brains when we are kind and compassionate, filling us with warmth, happiness, and pleasure. But a lot of us forget about the most crucial person we need to be kind to, ourselves, in our achievement-driven, fast-paced culture. We push ourselves hard, pick apart our shortcomings, and punish ourselves for our errors. Anxiety, despair, and stress can result from this lack of self-compassion. This is where self-compassion's power becomes useful. It all comes down to treating ourselves with the same forgiveness, compassion, and understanding that we would extend to a close friend. It's about accepting our flaws and acknowledging our shared humanity. It is not self-indulgence or self-pity to be self-compassionate. It's a brave act of self-love that enables us to accept our frailties and learn from our mistakes. We establish a secure and encouraging internal space where we can recover, grow, and learn when we engage in self-compassion practices. Now, let's shift gears and ponder a hypothetical scenario. Imagine you could live as long as you desire, create, manifest, and serve humanity to your heart's content. But on your last day, all your work would vanish, leaving no trace of your contributions. If this were your final day, and you could only leave behind 3 lessons for the world, what would they be? For me, the answer is clear. Believe in yourself. This is the foundation of all manifestations. It's about recognizing your inherent worth, trusting your intuition, and embracing your unique gifts and talents. When you believe in yourself, you open the door to unlimited possibilities. Care for others. Compassion and kindness are the cornerstones of a fulfilling life. When we extend love and support to others, we not only enrich their lives, but also our own. Service to others is a powerful antidote to ego-driven pursuits and a pathway to lasting happiness. Be kind to yourself. Self-compassion is essential for well-being and growth. It's about accepting our imperfections, forgiving our mistakes, and treating ourselves with love and understanding. When we practice self-compassion, we create a fertile ground for personal transformation and manifestation. Conclusion. Manifesting requires work and action. It is not just wishful thinking. In order to fully utilize the power of manifestation, you must combine your efforts with a purposeful concentration on helping others and a clear aim. This mixture produces a potent synergy with the potential to produce amazing outcomes. By being clear about your objectives, moving purposefully toward them, and keeping a kind, service-focused perspective, you allow the infinite possibilities of the universe to come into your life. Recall that manifesting involves more than just fulfilling your own goals. It also entails directing your efforts toward a higher goal that will ultimately bring you enormous success and fulfillment.